Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome again to one of our Wednesday webinar series for the CMAA. Today, we have a good friend, Mauro Maugliani, who is our Italian wine specialist from the Co-Brand Wine Spirits Corporation. He is going to guide us through Italy and show you some things that I'm sure no one really knew about. So without further ado, here is our friend Mauro.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's pleasure to be here and to share a few information from Italy. Actually, no few information, a lot of information here to share. And I hope you guys enjoy the presentation, and let's begin. As Steve said, my name is Mauro Maugliani. I'm an Italian wine specialist. Just because I deal a lot with Italian wine is also a part of my cultures, and it's a pleasure to share with you guys. So let's begin with everything. I put a few slides for you guys. As you guys know, Italy, it's surrounded by three fantastic, beautiful sea, Adriatic Sea. We also has the Ionian Sea, the Tyrrhenian Sea. Then there's all part of the Mediterranean Sea. Two major mountains. One is go all the way across to Italy. Then here's the Apennine. Then it's like a spine of Italy, and all the way on north we have the mountain is called Alpi. Also, we have three major volcano. Two is one in Sicily is the classic expression of Sicily wine. Two is around the mountain Etna, the volcano Etna. Also, we have the Stromboli, that is on Sicilia region too. And the most famous one that probably you guys hear many times is the Vesuvio from Campania. Move forward. Here are the 20 region from Italy. We start from south with Sardinia. We go all the way at the bottom with Sicily. Sardinia is the largest island in front to Tuscan and Rome. The position that we have here is not really correct. It needs to be a little bit north, but that is the large islands that we have. For many years, we have an invasion of Spanish conquistadors, so we have even a little Spanish talker, Catalano exactly, in Sardinia. Then we got Sicily. We keep on going up with Calabria, with Puglia, famous for Negramaro, Basilicata. We got fantastic Amaro here, Campania, Fiano d'Avellino, Grego di Tufo. More we go up with Molise, Abruzzo with the classic Montepulciano, Lazio with Frascati, Umbria, Marche. We start to go all the way North Italy with Toscana, the most famous region all over the world for the different variety and expression of wine. Emilia Romagna, famous for many things that we will discuss in a few minutes. Lombardia, where the capital is Milan. Then we got Liguria, Piemonte, Val d'Aosta. Then is the smaller region on Italy. Also Veneto, then is the region that home the majority of DOCG. And the Triveneto, it's called Triveneto, so it's Veneto, Friuli, Venezia, Giulia, and Trentino Alto Adige. What we can see here, many years ago, started from the bottom, from the south, from Sicily, when the part of the Greek start to get settled in Italy during the Roman Empire. They find so many different wine techniques and wine varieties in Italy that they never saw before. Name Italy as Onetria, then is the land of the wine for the many different grape. The majority all are indigenous grape. Italy has the most largest different varieties of grape than all the rest of the world. If you put all the grape of the world, espresso, they don't do even a third of the Italian Italian indigenous grape that we have. For North Italy, as you guys know, the majority of expression of North Italy is Barbera, and Barolo from Piedmont, Ricciotto, Amarone, Soave from Veneto, and Pinot Grigio from Friuli. Central, like Emilia-Romagna and Toscana, we have Trebbiano, Sangiovese, and Lambrusco. And the south side start from Campania all the way to Sicily and Sardinia with Taurasi, Negramaro from Puglia, Nero d'Avola from Sicily and Grillo, and Canonau from Sardinia. Two different climate influence, even influence, big impact from Italy. For north side on the Alps here, is we have a continental climate, hot summer, as you guys know, and cold winter. The Mediterranean climate is from Toscana all the way down. Then is hot and dry summer, a little bit cool, and very wet winters is a lot of raining. The Mediterranean Sea then is always surround the peninsula of Italy, give a lot of influence on the expression of wine in these cases, and on the climate differences between North and South Italy. What we have here also is the Alp then maintain the island, even the peninsula, apologize, maintain the Italy on a cool side, because we have a very hot and very hot summer, especially in the central between Florence and Naples. We have a very hot summers, and the Apennine here, it's a help a lot to cool the zone also. The breeze that comes from all the way around the Mediterranean Sea, it keep the Italy a little bit cooler, because in the summer it's extremely hot, dry on the south side, and humid in the middle. Apennine all the way on the the Alps all the way in north, then divide France and Switzerland, and protect Italy from the cold weather that's come from Switzerland and Germany. So that's like a protection for us on the north side. The major grape that we have, as I was mentioned to you guys before, we got over 400 grapes. They all in the majority are all indigenous grape, but we have over 2,000 different grapes, even with clones and everything. And the majority of the grape are indigenous. It's just some grapes we put it here, a few for you guys. They are international varieties. The major grape that we have on the red variety, as you guys can read, Sangiovese, Montepulciano, Merlot. Merlot then is a French variety. This is Barbera, Nero d'Avola, that they are indigenous grape. Cabernet Sauvignon, Primitivo, Negro Amaro from Puglia. And on a major white wine, the Trebbiano, then is probably the major white wine produced after Pinot Grigio from Emilia-Romagna. Pinot Grigio, as you guys know, is come from Friuli, Venezia Giulia, Trentino Alto Adige, Cataratto, Chardonnay, Glera, Garganega, and Moscato Bianco. That is the majority of the grape being produced in Italy. Here's the classification of the zone. Then it doesn't give the classification of who's the best or who is the last good. It's just classification of zone. DOC, DOCG, and IGT is not a classification of who's the best or who's not. They are just classification of zone. In 2009, the European Union created a new classification that is called POD, Protected Designation of Origin, then include in this POD classification the older DOC and DOCG Italian. There is one thing that we need to know. There is a new requirement on POD. Then if you don't make that requirement, that doesn't mean that you're gonna lose your DOC or your DOCG. You are not going to be part of the POD, but you maintain the DOC or DOCG. DOCG was established from 63 and 66. That's a few dates that I put here for you guys. The DOCG is start to be 100% effective in 80s, and the 1996 they perfectionated, make more perfect, because there was a lot of confusion in an IGT, and where the classic and most famous wine in the USA called Super Tuscan is categorized in IGT zone. As IGT zone is everything that is outside the DOC or DOCG zone. That is a new regulation. Then we have to follow. VDT is a classic vino da tavola. That is where we don't have to specify the origin and what's inside, or even the age. Move forward, I put it here. What may say we put it here the classic and clear explanation of the restriction of the denomination, origine controllata e garantita. They are very similar to the OCG. The only thing is that then, as you guys can read here, the OCG, they can be tested by panel or also in a laboratory to maintain the quality of expression of the wine. It can be from Barolo for the Consorzio di Barolo, for the Consorzio di Amarone Classico, for the Consorzio of the Chianti Classico zone. So everything and the DOCG denomination, they are subordinated, if that's the correct word to use, to go under panel testing or to a laboratory to analyze everything. The DOCG got the same exactly restriction, but they are not subordinated to go through a commission or to a laboratory. AGT, as I explained to you, is everything that's come outside of the DOC or DOCG zone, where the majority of the Super Tuscans come from, because you are free even to create a new blend. Making an example, even in Toscana, as you guys know, the famous Sassicaia, then is the first Super Tuscan ever created. It's an 85% of Cabernet Sauvignon, 50% of Cabernet Franc. So you can be play a little bit and do a new blend. So even international varieties are allowed to be part of the Super Tuscan category, or on the AGT appellation. All the rest is classified as a vino da tavola, where you don't have to specify what's inside, and you can put even only Rosso from Toscana, red wine from Tuscany. It's a part of the vino da tavola too. Move forward. That's just we put the Sassicaia label, one of the classic expression of Italy, probably the business card of a country, the first Super Tuscan ever being created, and that's just the classic way how you read, how you make a label, how you read the label. First, we put the majority of the time, and not in this case, but the varieties of the grape, the geographic regional production, the name of the wine, the name that you choose, the property names, and the vintage. As you guys can see here, Sassicaia is the name of the wine. Then we got 2014 is the vintage, the appellation created only for Sassicaia, Bulgari Sassicaia. Sassicaia is the only winery in the world that they own their own appellation, and they own their own classification of DOC. No DOCG, DOC, Denomination, Regional Control. Also, we got the producer and the bottling location. Sometime in Italy, you can find the producer. In this case, it's Tenuta San Guido, but you can find the bottling. Maybe can be a different bottling of facility that they use. So they have to put it here in two different lines. The first, in this case, it's Tenuta San Guido bottling and produce the wine and everything, so it wasn't necessary. But they still put it on it, even if it's the same exactly, it's come from everything under the same exactly winery. Then you got the country of origin, where the country come from, the alcohol and the volume. So the volume of the bottle, the 750 in this case. That's just a classic way to read it. Very simple. The majority of DOC, DOCG, they don't put what's the blend inside. Italy doesn't have that many labor where they say to you 20% on Sangiovese, 20% on Barolo, so they don't specify the grape that much. Here's other terminology that you guys can find on the label. Superior is the quality of the wine. Superior, so we put it here, is require a little bit high alcohol and a little bit of finished wine, so it's more well around. Or you can find Classico. They usually you find the Classico on, especially in the Chianti zone, the historical specific zone. Reserva then indicate the age. It can be as a Brunello regulars, then do 4 years. A Reserva is 5 years. So it's just a name, then it tell us the age. The frizzante, there is a classic bubble that we will find in a classic expression of Moscato, a little bit effervescent, just a little bit, that's called frizzante. And the classic full sparkly, they can be the spumante or it can be the Prosecco. That's a classic fully sparkly spumante, and they are a little bit different than the method champenois. They go on the two fermentation method Charmat. That's just a few little word that also you can find on the label to specify if it's the superior, if it's a classical, if it's wines or reserve, or how many bubble. If it's a frizzante, it's like a gently sparkling, or if it's a fully sparkling as a spumante can be. Let's go now a little bit in detail on the North Italy. We're gonna start to talk about Piedmont. As you can see here in the west, we are on the border with French and Switzerland. We got all the way here in green, that's the Alps, then help us to protect a little bit from the cool that's come from Switzerland, and a little bit here Austria, and also German too. Then it's a lot cooler than Italy. Uh, that's also what I put for you guys here. I put this little star. At least you guys can see where the location is exactly on the region. For North Piemonte, we call Pre-Alps. Pre-Alps is a little lower in altitude mountain where separate a little bit the Pianura Padana, then is here in Milano. Let's go all the way here inside to Piedmont before the tall Alps that you can find here, then divide us. The Pre-Alps is always here, is a small mountain, then separate also from Piedmont to Lombardia, the region of Milan. North Piemonte, as you guys can see here, we got the major productions from Gattinara, from Gemme, Sinazzano, Spana, and Camera. South Piemonte, as you guys can see here, is the Langhe and the Monferrato area, and where the Barolo, Barbaresco, Dolcetto, Barbera d'Alba, and Arnese have been produced. And the last one here is Monferrato, Asti, Alessandra, well, the majority of the Barbera, but the older Barberas come from Barbera di Asti, Moscato di Asti, and Gavi. That's a few little grape, but then it's the majority of production of Piedmont. Barbera is the grape more produced in Piedmont. Like in Toscana, every single family in Piedmont, at least they have a bottle of Barbera on their house. Barbera is everyday wine. In 1974, Chiarlo introduced the malolactic fermentation. That's when the Barbera will start to become a cru. Before Barbera was only table wine, but after the Michele Chiarlo winery introduced the malolactic fermentation. The wines start to age pretty well, and now we have even a single vineyard. We have a new appellation for Barbera, so got an, an evolution absolutely fantastic in this incredible grape. Then the classic Moscato, Dolcetto, and Nebbiolo. Nebbiolo is the grape that we use for Barbaresco and from Barolo. Piedmont is a second large volume producer of DOC or DOCG just behind Veneto, but the 83% of the production is classified and qualified on DOP, as I explained to you before, because even if you are not part of the DOP, if you don't achieve the requirement, you're never going to lose your DOC or DOCG. But in this case, 42 DOC and the 70 DOCG they produce in Piedmont, they all part of the DOP new appellation from the European Union. Here, DOP, PDO is the same exactly things. It's just language expression. Like in Italy, we cannot say designation protect origin. We have to go with the protect designation. It's just a way to put the word. So DOP and PDO is the same exactly things. It also has a 42 DOC, include Barbera d'Alba, Barbera d'Asti, Dolcetto, and Monferrato. 50% of the Piedmont wine are, as I mentioned to you before, so it's to be one of the second largest region. They have the most of the DOC or DOCG. The majority of producers fell all in the same category and the same appellation. What else we can see? The most grape produced in Piedmont, as I say, is in Barbera. So many different variety of grape have been used. But in Piedmont, I don't want to confuse you guys, but it's not only Barbera, Moscato, Arneso, Cortese that be part of Piedmont. There's so many others. As I mentioned at the beginning, we have over 2,000 different grapes. In this case, the white varieties are most produced in Piedmont, with Cortese, Moscato Bianco, and Arnese. Cortese is the grape that we produce, the Gavi. There is a few wine that we also have in the U.S. The Moscato is on a sparkling Moscato. Also is particular and very popular in North Italy, especially in Piedmont in this case. The only here we put a vermouth is the classic fortified wine that we use on the majority of the martini. It got a few little requirement and never be under 15.8% of alcohol, but usually they're running between 18 up. It's a wine, but you take the aroma from so many different herbs that they use to blend during the distillation and part in woods. It's probably vermouth is one of the most used we consider as alcohol beverage for all the mixed drink that we have in Italy, from Negroni and from so many different martini. I do apologize. So let's move forward because there's a lot to talk here. Piedmont, noble wine on the OCG appellation, AF to be by restriction 100% Nebbiolo, or require 38 months aging, 62 months for reserve. Apologize. Fantastic wine, the classic expression, even all over the U.S. Barolo is one of the major, not in Piedmont, but in U.S. is one of the major wine from in Piedmont here in U.S. being sold for over 50 years. I put it here for you guys, the five town of Barolo, where the majority, the 85% of the production of Barolo is being produced. La Morra, Barolo is the town that take the name, they give the name to the wine. Monforte d'Alba, Serralunga d'Alba, e Castiglione Faletto. These five villages, as I say, is make the 85 of the production on Barolo, but the 15% it's also for sub region all the way around the Barolo area. Then I put it here for you guys that you can see better. That's just the majority of the production, and then all the way around here for Cerrasco, Verduno, Rodi, that's just all the other production of Barolo, but it's a small production. The majority of this comes from this five town here. Then I put for you guys here. Barbaresco, I put a little map, at least you guys know where we are. Here on the right side, you can see here's France, here's Switzerland, here's Milan, and that's what we are. Barbaresco, they are three major zone of production. Trezio, Barbaresco, they give the name to the wine, and Neve. That's a minimum of alcohol required on Barbaresco, 12.5% of alcohol, require 26 months aging and 50 months for reserve. EF2B for restriction, F2B for restriction, 100% Nebbiolo. There is no blend allowed here. That's just the Barbera. Like I mentioned to you guys, is the most planted vine all over the region. The Barbera d'Asti is a two major zone of Asti, where is requirement a 90% minimum of Barbera grape, and Barbera d'Alba is a minimum require of 95%, but the majority of the producer, they go 100%. Very nice structure, beautiful wine from it can go with any kind of type of food. Very fruit forward wine, absolutely fantastic. That's as a Moscato Bianco, as I mentioned to you guys before. It's can be even in a natural espresso. It can be a little bit sparkly, a little bit frizzante, or fully sparkly. It's classified and fall in a category on a DOCG appellation. And as you guys can put a couple of notes for here for you guys. It was an early 12, AD. Is I don't know if you guys ever noticed it, but if you Google, and I forgot to put it on just to make you guys understand, if you check the wine map on Africa and all the way around Europe, is exactly the Roman Empire. So we're talking about here on winemaker over 38, even 4,000 years of history on all over the country. A lot of history behind Italy on wine. Gavi, a little small town. It's another fantastic white varieties that we use. The Cortese grape, as I was mentioning to you, is require 100% of Cortese grape. I put here a little error for you guys. This is one of my favorite expression of white varieties of Piedmont, and is the Rovereto. It's all the way around here, Gavi. Rovereto is where we produce let's say the cru of the Gavi. The major expression of Gavis come from Rovereto area. We move from Piedmont, and we go to all the east side. That's for you guys to understand where we are. We are in Friuli, Venezia Giulia, so we got in Veneto, Trentino Alto Adige. Here is Venice, Trentino Alto Adige. It's where the north part of the north region of Italy. In Veneto, I don't know if you guys ever visit the most important the two important cities, Venice and Verona. Verona is probably what is more interest on for wine expression. The town of Romeo and Juliet, the heart of Valpolicella, the Amarone. Here we put it for you as a major grape, and Clara is the major grape that we use for production. The Prosecco, Garganica is the grape that we use for Soave, and the Pinot Grigio is the most wine sold on the world, classic expression of a Triveneto, so Trentino Alto Adige, Veneto, and Friuli Venezia Giulia. That's the red varieties that we are used the majority in Triveneto. Merlot, Corvina. Then Corvina is the classic grape then be used for Amarone, and the grape they usually being semi-dry to get the maximum expression of the grape that they be using to produce Valpolicella Classico or Amarone single vineyard. And here we are, like I was mentioning to you guys, Friuli Venezia Giulia. Friuli is the major expression of a Pinot Grigio. Here a few historical things. Italy's been separated for several years, and especially in the First World War, it was an empire called Austro-Hungarian Empire that was still owned, and I don't want to use funny word because it was a very tremendous, it's a horrible time. That's for Italy, but it was on. They keep the region until 1918. It took us a lot of people died to get back this region from us during the First and the Second World War II. As I mentioned to you guys before, the Pinot Grigio is considered the most planted and sold wine all over the world, the number one wine sold all over the world. That's us again here. Really perfect. I'm sorry, I do apologize. I just wrong about it. That's the Trentino Alto Adige, the north region that we have in Italy. It's not a smaller one, but same here. We got same exactly influence here. Part of the region, a part of the city, they speak a very strong dialect. We got a lot of influence for German speaking, for German language. Apologize, and it's the northernmost region in Italy. A lot of mountain here is the best place to go ski. Just to guys let you understand the territory, very high mountain. It's fantastic, fantastic for vacation, for everything. Also the expression of the wine from here, from Trentino Alto Adige, in any varieties, it's come very firm on its expression and everything that they make. Emilia-Romagna, probably you guys know Emilia-Romagna. It's I don't want to say famous, but it's well known all over the world for the production of prosciutto di Parma, for the production of Lambrusco, Ferrari, Fellini, Giorgio Armani, Luciano Pavarotti. Everybody's come from Emilia-Romagna. Very important region. The home of the Lambrusco in three different styles. Lambrusco semi-sweet, dry, and sweet. Here's the what I just mentioned to you guys. That's probably why it's also famous, but it's not only for that. A little bit history between here, the number 8, what is Rimini, all the way to 19, it's a big road. It's called Via Emilia. Let's go all the way down to south. It's the longest road from Roman Empire ever built in Italy, with Via Aurelia. That is not included here because it's not part of the wine history. So moving forward, we start to go a little bit on most let's say where we got the most expression of wine and well known, especially here in US, Toscana. Toscana is a lot of here, a lot of wine here, a lot of different denomination, a lot of different expression of wine. But I divide for you guys on the major district. I put a little star to let you understand where we are. The zone of Chianti Classico is between Florence and Siena. Then we got Montalcino is the green here. It's the central south. Then we go a little bit on the east side, what is the Montepulciano. Then we have a Bulgari, the highest and prestigious town for the classic for the Super Tuscan. And then we got the Maremma. I put a little arrow for you guys to let you see that it's from Grosseto, actually from Livorno to Grosseto. That's so all the Maremma. Pretty alluvial soil. So the wine here is the beautiful unbalance and very strong in its expression. It's in this area here in Bulgaria. What is it? We got a particular soil here, then it's called conglomerate of Bulgari. Then include 5 different soil. Then is limestone, pebble stone, sand, and shelf, because the Mediterranean Sea was a little bit inland before we retreat back. And we got lots of dark clay, fantastic for French varieties. Here's a few things then that we put for you guys. A few information that is very important to know, especially when you do taste or you go through any classes on anything. This is the most recognized zone. Probably is the most red wine sold on the world from Italy. There is the Black Rooster. It's the consortio logo, but it's not every producer of a Chianti. It's been part of the consortio. As you guys can see here, the consortium for 1716. It was a legendary story here. Nobody knows if this is true, but everybody talk about it, where the people come from. Let me go here, at least you guys understand. People come from Siena and people come from Florence. There was argue about the rooster and to the designate area of the Chianti zone. So what they did, Florence people, they get a fantastic, beautiful rooster, black color, and they didn't feed him that much. And before the competition. So the competition it was for as soon as the rooster singing in the morning, the first soldier with a horse have to run all the way close to Florence from Siena, or from Florence all the way down to Siena, where they meet. That's will be the border of the town and of the zone. So Florence people didn't feed the rooster, so the roosters get up 2 hours early and start to sing, and the horses start to running. Here they have a beautiful rooster, white rooster, but the rooster wake up 2 hours later, so he barely make a few miles. So Florence people went all the way to just a few miles before Siena, and I mean that's a legend that they say. We don't know if it's true, but it's funny, and so that's why now they got the black rooster on this thing. It doesn't mean anything on wine, but it's a symbol of the consortium of the Chianti Classico zone. Here is the pyramid of different aging of wine. Is the new classification that we have. Apologize. The new classification that we have with the Grand Selezione. Then is 2.5 years minimum age. Then is 30 years. And then we got 24 years in Reserva, Chianti Classico. Then it's 1 years and 9 months for all the rest of the 9 to 6 months for all the rest of the Chianti zone here. They are the seven Chianti sub-region, and it's good for you guys to take note because in any exam they will ask you for the seven Chianti sub-region. I'll put them a little bit in better way for you in a few minutes where you can read everything. Tuscany also is Sangiovese is one of the major grape. Then it got 650 different clone. For the white varieties, we have the Trebbiano and Chardonnay. The soil is a perfect for French varieties and for winemaking with a lot of dark clay, so many different elevation, limestone, pebble stone, salt, a shelf, I'm sorry, and sand, plus the influence of the Mediterranean Sea that bring all this saltiness and even cool or chill they stay when it's really necessary, and it's absolutely fantastic country to growing wine. That is the most wine recognized all over the world: the Chianti, Brunello Montalcino, the Rosso di Montalcino, and the Super Tuscan. As you guys know, the first Super Tuscan ever created, it's the Sassicaia, made by Marchese Mario Incisa della Rocchetta, called Tenuta Sanguina. Few little things here that I want to show you guys is the requirement of on the major expression of Tuscany, Brunello di Montalcino. Is required to be a Sangiovese Grosso. It must to be aged 4 years, and at least the two have to be in cask. As a Rosso di Montalcino, it's only 1 year's aging, but the same exactly process, 100% Sangiovese Grosso. There is no blend required here, not required, permitted, I'm sorry. You cannot blend it with anything, it have to be 100% Sangiovese. Vino Nobile di Montepulciano is not Abruzzo, but it's a Toscana. It's made by Prugnolo, but Prugnolo is a clone of Sangiovese, so it's 100% Sangiovese here too. It requires a minimum of 14, maximum 18 months in oak, and minimum 6 months in a Nebbiolo. Here on the Chianti, we got a little bit different aging way made of a Sangiovese. The majority of the Chianti have to have on 80% of Sangiovese as an indigenous grape of the region. I'm sorry, and you can be blended with the majority of the Chianti is blended with Colorino, but also in with the new French varieties being in almost all over Italy now, Sangiovese and it being blended with Merlot, with the Cabernet Sauvignon. They use so many different way to make the Chianti now, but they have to maintain at least, and thanks God, 80% of the indigenous grape of the region. Chianti Classico is minimum of 12 months. And for the reserve, that's 24 months. I'm going to show you, I put a pyramid for you guys to understand better the Chianti aging. The Super Tuscan is everything that is come outside. The majority fell everything in the IGT category, and is I put Sassicaia here as the first Super Tuscan ever created, and then is used by Cabernet Sauvignon 85% and 15% Cabernet Franc. Brunello di Montalcino. That was a classic regulation required to the consortium, 100% Sangiovese Grosso grape. Brunello is mean a little brown one. Brunello, Bruno is dark, it's like dark. Ello or Illo, we use one santi small. Ollo is one santi big. So Brunello is a little brown, little one. That's what we use. This kind of type of word. Brunello is not a town; it's just the name of the wine. They all in the OCG area. It must to be aged at least 4 years um, for the classic Brunello, and the reserve have to be 5 years. Even in a 4 years here is something that I want you guys to know. Even in a in a 4 years here, then is required by the consortium. There is no winery in Montalcino then send the wine out in a market before the 5 years. The 4 years here is the consortium require is the minimum. So to age for 4 years. But before 5 years, you don't see any Brunello younger than 5 years in the market. And for the reserve have to be five. Sometimes winery keep even extra years the wine on the cellar to be able to give you the major expression of that. Super Tuscan, as I mentioned to you guys, is everything's come outside and follow the majority in AGT. Uh, AGT classification. Uh, the only winery in the world that own the DOC is the Tenuta San Guido Sassicaia. Is Sassicaia was fight so bad to own their own DOCG and their own appellation, their own classification, because they don't want to be a part of any other organization. They don't want to be any part of any consortium. They want to be alone by themselves. They are the first winery. They create this such a beautiful Bordeaux blend from Toscana. The Marcheso Mario in cheese, I was strongly believe that Bulgari was probably one of the major expression of a French varieties outside French. And I strongly believe in 1994, and the Italian government gave them the appellation that they was fight for, and actually personal opinion deserve for what they bring for us. I think so. We're done here, and that's just a few information. And Missy, if you there, if you want to help me out.
I am, yes. That was great. A lot of detail there. So if anybody in the group felt lost a little bit in any area, we can certainly, help you with your Italian wine knowledge. You can see how much knowledge Mauro has, but I loved the stories that you shared as well. Very interesting and compelling stories. So this is the link for the Survey Monkey so that everyone can get their continuing education credit. And the password, I don't know if you'll see the chat box on this recording, so just know that the password is label with a capital L. So L-A-B-E-L, label, just like the label on the bottle that Mauro showed us how to read. So Beth will probably include this link in the email when she sends you this recording. And now that we've reached the end, the password is revealed. Label, L-A-B-E-L. And Mauro, thank you again for your time and your education and sharing all of that with us. I know that the folks on the call may have opportunities for us to come do education at their individual clubs or maybe do events for their members. And so for those of you that might be interested in that in the future, Mauro's information is here, and you can certainly reach him through Steve Millickman at RNDC as well. So again, thanks, Mauro. I really appreciate it.